So y'all, back in the lab again here this day working on my motor and the car actually. So I'm actually installing my front seal on my cover here. So I'm about to install that right now. Got my rubber mallet. I'm using this so when I install it I can actually use this to kind of like press it down with the mallet as well. I don't know, it's rounded on the edge and it won't hurt it if I'm beating it soft anyway, so that'll be good. Got everything labeled, so when I took out the engine I put all the bolts in their own separate baggies, labeled them there so I wouldn't forget, and I actually painted all these tips there as well too, aluminum colored. So painted my harmonic balancer. So I know there's a tool to install this, so you make sure you get this centered on the crank. But what I'm gonna do is I actually bought a longer stud harmonic balancer bolt. It's actually not for a harmonic balancer, but it's longer here with a few washers, so that way it spins a little easier. But I'm gonna install this and this at the same time. So I'm gonna get this all lined up with the gasket, put that on there snug, but just enough so I can move it around. Then I'm gonna stick this in there, because with this on there too, and I get it tightened down a little bit and snug, it'll automatically center this, especially if I leave a little bit of play on there. So that is my plan. Just install it both at the same time, since I'm basically done, almost done assembling the engine. So I'm back at it here again. Decided to drop the tank because I need to anyway. And what I found out is this car has been undercoated, and they undercoated everything. I knew the inner fender wells were undercoated, but I didn't realize the whole car was undercoated. So, which is good, and it looks really clean under there. I mean, look at that gas tank. The top of the gas tank is like, you know, it still has some shiny areas other than just the dirt that's on it. But the whole underneath that tank is powder coated, and the whole underneath the car. It's made it kind of challenging though, because all the bolts are sprayed over as well. So that's been a challenge. So I've had to take a small screwdriver and basically scrape around the edges of the whole of every bolt that I've had to get off. But luckily it hasn't been too bad. But in any case, I knew I needed to drop the gas tank. I wanted to check it out anyway, and because I'm gonna have to get a new fuel cylinder. I thought that I was gonna have to get a whole new tank. I haven't replaced too many tanks in my automotive hobbyish career here, but I was looking on YouTube and I follow a couple guys on there, and they said that you can still run your normal tank. You just have to get a new fuel cylinder. So which is that thing there, and obviously this was not fuel injected, so I have to get a new cylinder and pump. The only thing this doesn't have is a sump, obviously, being from 78. So but I mean, I won't really worry about that, because a new tank is $100, and if I can get by with just getting a new pump, cylinder, and just wiring it up and letting it go, then I'll be good. I just have to be careful about running the car dry. Probably have to stay, you know, at least a quarter tank or higher. But I mean, I'm not really worried about fuel starvation, so I don't really run out of gas too much. Although I had my fair share of running on E for a while. So if I decide to stick with this pump, just go with a different, decide to stick with this tank and go. Just sticking a different pump and cylinder in there, then I'll just have to be careful about not running it too low. But yeah, that's it. So looks pretty good, man. I'm actually really happy with the progress so far. Now I gotta tackle the front of this fuel line and trim it down and route it so I can route it in a correct way for my new motor. So anyways, y'all, just wanted to show y'all this too. What's going on, y'all? I'm here trying to wrap this car up here for the day. Got quite a lot of bit done today, and now I'm trying to attack this fuel line, the one coming out from my fuel gas tank to the motor. I wanted to show y'all what I did, because there's not a whole lot of videos out there, at least from what I've seen, especially on Caprices. Mine's a 78 that kind of show this. A lot of engine stuff, but nothing far into detail. There is one guy that I follow, and I kind of got some ideas from him, but I at least wanted to show you guys what I was doing. So anyways, enough camera on me. I'm gonna flip it around here. So the stock fuel line actually comes in through the frame, and it pops out right there. From there, there's a hose that actually goes to the old school 350, 305 fuel pump. But I didn't want to leave that there, because I didn't want to run a hose all the way back. And you know, on the LS motor, it comes all the way around and it wraps back around in the back of the manifold into the fuel rail. Thought that would look kind of tacky and be by the headers and all that. It's just not a good look. The fuel line actually runs from the fuel tank, and it pops in actually inside the frame, comes in the frame, and it pops out here, if you can see through that hole there. So what I did is, I'm going to get under the car now. Sorry, y'all. But I got to lay down here, and this camera's probably going to go all over the place here, but at least I can show you guys kind of what I did. Oh, snap. I always think it's funny when people hold the phone and get under the car, but now look at me, I'm doing it. So anyway, so my fuel tank, or my fuel line, goes from the fuel tank. See, actually, that's a pretty good line. That's the original line too, y'all. So it comes all the way here and pops in through the frame right there, and then it goes through the other end where I showed you already. So what I did is, I actually snipped it right here with some wire cutters. And then I took an actual a line cutter, which is right here. I'll show you. So they actually make these little cutters here. And what you do is, there's a little knob here that tightens that little metal cutter inside there. And you put it on there, and you just basically turn it in circles. And what it does, you keep turning this little knob down every couple circles, and it tightens down, and it tightens down, and it tightens down. As you keep turning, you tighten it, turn a few more times, tighten it, until it actually eventually cuts through. And it makes a nice cut, so it doesn't mess up and bend the fuel line. So, and then from there, you can flare it if you want, which I was gonna do. But anyways, it went inside through there. And so, but this line, this piece was actually up over here. So what I did is, I took my pipe bender that I had, old school pipe bender, and I just bent it out a little bit. So now it'll sit about right here, kind of halfway in between the floor pan and the frame. But that'll be plenty enough for me to stick a high pressure fuel hose here. What I'll probably do is, the reason why I didn't flare it is because I think I might buy a either those what are those called, Earl's fittings, or some type of fitting to put over it. And with the Earl's fittings, they have couplers and stuff in there, so as you put the fitting on here, you put the little coupler on there, and then you put the other end on it and tighten it down, and it flares itself as you tighten it down. So the little compression fitting, or whatever it's called. So I might do that instead of flaring it and just sticking a hose on it. So I don't want any leaks or anything. So anyways, that's what I did. So it's just gonna bolt on right there. It's gonna stick out. Then I'm gonna have a hose come all the way up and go to the back of the motor. So anyways, y'all, tired of laying under this car. I'm hungry, and I'm about to go home and get me something to eat. All right, y'all. Peace out. Later.